Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the show. Before we get into the episode, I want to remind you that every week there are two brand new episodes of Have You Heard This available. One is right here for free wherever you listen to podcasts, and the second is a bonus episode for subscribers at patreon.com/Aaron Hertzog. If you like the show, or me, or my guest, it's a great way to show support for as little as $5 per month. If you're here because my guest sent you, then great news. I give half of the proceeds from all new subscribers this week to my guest as a way to say thanks for being on my show. So head on over to patreon.com/Aaron Hertzog and sign up for weekly bonus podcasts, a download of my stand-up comedy album, comedy videos, and more. The link is available in the description of the episode. Thanks again for listening, and on to the show. Joe Moore, thank you so much for being here with me.
Yeah.
And with all our listeners. You were waiting for like a more formal introduction, or
I was trying to think if I should reference all the funny stuff we just said that no one, because the Zoom thing just said it's recording now, and I thought we were already. I mean,
oh,
I don't think that, but it'd be funny for the listener to feel like they missed out.
they missed out on so much stuff. I forgot to record. I totally forgot to. We were just having fun being pals.
But they're gonna believe that. They're gonna believe that you forgot to record and you didn't. You're a pro. You hit it at the right time.
Yeah, I like to, I don't want to ambush anybody with recording. I don't want to have it like recording when they come into the room. You never know what they're going to say. Joe,
Yeah.
you're famously just, just a potty mouth, terrible person. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tone it down for now that I see this little red light on.
yeah. And if you're listening to the show and you don't know Joe, you know that he is none of the things that I just said, except for a wonderful person and an amazing friend and someone I'm very excited to have on the show, just because I get to talk to him for a little while.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm pumped for it too.
And you're also a hilarious comedian. Did I leave that out?
They'll determine for themselves, I guess, right?
I mean, yeah, they can listen to
How does
this.
when at what point do I become a hilarious comedian? Is it the court of opinion, or is it just or the court of public opinion, or can I just get one person on a podcast to say so and then it's just true?
I think since humor is subjective, if one person tells you you are a hilarious comedian, then you are at least a hilarious comedian to one person, which makes you that in general in the universe. So
I'll make a little hash mark here for one.
one. Yeah, you can keep count.
Can I ask that people who listen to this go to iTunes and leave a review and say that I'm a hilarious comedian? So I'll keep a hash tally for each one, hash mark in my notes.
Please do. I'm going to see the numbers for this episode, and I want the exact number of listeners to correspond with the number of reviews that call Joe a hilarious comedian. Or you can, or like go to your Twitter, I guess, and leave a review on Joe's Twitter.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good way to do it too.
Just say at Joe Moore is a hilarious comedian.
And then I'll make a little note in my notebook here, and then we'll keep going. What's a good number to stop at, you think?
I mean,
30?
sky's the limit. Till when? Till you're officially
Till I can like sleep at night. So I can know, hey.
I would hope that just one being me would be enough for you, Joe.
You know what? I'll call you in the morning. I'll let you know.
Yeah, how you say? Yeah, please. Yeah, send me a text. I wake up pretty early, so don't worry about the time difference. Call me if you want. FaceTime me even.
Okay, cool.
Tell me how you slept, and I will know. Especially if you FaceTime me, I will know by your eyes, by the look. Don't try to fool me by drinking a bunch of coffee. But Joe, you brought an idea to the podcast today for us to talk about and hopefully be funny and prove how hilarious the both of us are.
Yeah, and this I'm going to admit right off the top, I'm going to have trouble with this one. So you're going to be doing a lot of the work in making this funny.
Right.
So this is something that I wanted to write. It was an idea I had a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't finished it yet. So this is going to push me over the edge to actually get the thing done, I think. But I wanted to write what would be King Kongs, and I don't know if it's been done. I looked it up. I don't think it's been done. It's been very hard to you always want to see if your ideas are dumb. Anyway, let me just say it. It's King Kong's 1-star review of the Empire State Building, right? So like, and now here's why I'll tell you it's a bad idea, right? It's a bad idea
Okay.
because like these things of like fictional characters doing like modern things, I think
Sure.
it's been done. It's been done to death. There's a lot of that out there. So it doesn't feel like a very original idea. However, why I think it's a funny idea, uh, like it's a big giant gorilla sitting at a computer and
Yeah.
typing.
How big is the typewriter?
Yeah,
How big
right.
is the keyboard? Typewriter. How old am I?
I mean, you right. You're finding those diametrically opposed ideas we're mashing together here. It doesn't make sense that King Kong would have a computer, um, or that he would leave a review. But I mean, really, like I guess the funniest part to me is that like the 1-star review would start off with me, with him saying like, first, I'm going to do my King Kong voice here. First, I want to address the airplanes shooting at the guests.
He thinks that happens to everybody who
Right.
goes to the Empire State Building. He thinks that like it had nothing to do with him, and it's just what they do to people who go to the Empire State Building.
It's like part of the experience of going to the Empire State Building is that there's 4 fighter jets shooting at you. Um, and like I know yeah, I know that I haven't actually I think I've seen King Kong a long time ago, but like I don't know everything that happens there. I just know the airplanes shoot at him.
You just know it's just a famous, yeah. I
He's
know it more from like a little Nickelodeon machine in a museum once than I actually saw the.
Yeah, that's maybe another criticism for why this is a bad idea, is that like it is kind of out of place. But I don't know, King Kong's one of those franchises they keep rebooting and
Hey,
bringing.
they brought King Kong back at least twice in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
There was like the Peter Jackson King Kong reboot, and then there was like the Kong Skull Island reboot, and then he fought Godzilla as recently as last year. It was during the pandemic when he fought Godzilla.
Is that still like is that still interesting to people? Like when they say we're going to do another King Kong movie, like it's sort of like if someone was going to start selling like horse-drawn carriages, it's like, well, who cares? We're past that. We're past a big gorilla, a giant gorilla being scary.
They've brought it back so many times though. It was like one of the first movies. I have no research to say this, but it was like, but they brought it back at least like, it was like in the 20s, in the 50s, in the 70s, and then like in the 2000s, and now in the 2020. Like they keep bringing it back. There are so many different iterations of King Kong.
And like that makes sense to me with James Bond to do, because like there's depth to that character, and like even Godzilla is like it's weird, right? It's a giant lizard, but like this is just it's a big gorilla.
I I think that I don't know. I think that I don't know. That is my that's my catchphrase. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. I think that I don't know. But like, does King Kong represent different things at different points of time, Like, does it represent something different in the 20s, the 1920s, as it does in the 2020s?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should probably do some research and watch some of these King Kong movies, I think.
I've only seen the modern ones. I've seen the Peter Jackson one, the new MonsterVerse one, with Skull Island. That's what it's called, and then Godzilla versus Kong.
So you've
I
seen 3 King Kong movies.
Yeah, in like the past, in my adult life.
All right. So then we got something to work with here, I think. I think I got something. But yeah, I mean, like because the other thing too, I think we're also at a point where like reviewing things online is kind of lame now. Do you think?
We're only people who are lame, like, will review things online, or do you mean like in terms of making comedy about reviewing things online?
Right. I both. I think when Yelp first came out, I was like, oh, this is great. I can tell people where the best burger is or what I think a good burger is. And like Yelp also had that thing where you could like something and you could say that it was funny or cool. and like I want to be funny and cool. So if I
Yeah.
could write things on Yelp, I could get that instant validation of being funny or cool.
Of people who enjoy your or like people who made a career out of being like Yelpers, like they're like famous Yelpers, and it like really like they become critics basically, who it matters what they think of your restaurant. Or
And I don't know that I know any famous Yelpers, and I don't mean to be rude towards them, but if you met someone and they were like, "Oh, I'm a famous Yelper," wouldn't you immediately think that person's pretty lame?
a loser, they would be
Yeah.
a complete loser. Even though like I don't know, if you met like a famous restaurant reviewer, or like a food critic, you'd probably think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, they would have something to talk about, like, but someone, it just feels like someone who's famous on Yelp is just like game the system. Although there are people who use Yelp creatively and do create. I don't. Greg, his whole thing on Yelp is fantastic, but like that is
That's
like
completely different than.
right, and that's I think part of what we're talking about, right? Is that like Yelp is just this weird dumb thing, and it could also be TripAdvisor too. I don't know, but not that that makes it any less lame. But
I think I've completely stopped using Yelp. Whenever I used to be in like a new city, I would rely on it to like find a good, like if I was in like, you know, North Carolina, I'd be like, oh, what are good North Carolina barbecue places, or like place, mostly restaurants, just food. That's all I cared about when I was in a new city. It wasn't like, oh, where's the culture? Where's the art? It was, where's the food?
yeah, yeah,
But I don't do it any. There are like other more reliable sources, I guess. Like you could go to like Eater, or I don't know, other like local blogs that do a better job of telling you where to eat.
yeah, and I guess I feel like I know enough people anywhere that I could just ask somebody. Like if I was in North Carolina, I would have someone at this point in my life that I could reach out to that I didn't have when I was like 19 years old. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd just
Yeah.
be like, "Where's the good barbecue at?"
I feel like also like restaurants learned how to game the system. Like it stopped being just like regular customers, and they like basically get bots to review them and give them good reviews, and then any real reviews are just from angry people, and you can like read them and tell who like has a vendetta against the restaurant for some reason. And it was
Yeah,
like too easy to flood Yelp, like to people like online, just like get a viral campaign to flood Yelp with like terrible reviews or good reviews for like random places. Like I wonder how like Four Seasons Landscaping Yelp blew up after the press conference was there.
yeah, yeah, right. That would be even so. Like, all right, you meet someone and they say, "I'm a famous person from Yelp," or "I'm a famous reviewer on whatever review site." That's one thing. But if you met someone who was like, "Yeah, I like try to get people to flood reviews for places that I don't like," is that person cool, or is that person just as lame as the Yelp celebrity?
I think it depends on how they plan on using the flooded reviews. If they're trying to flood just a nice family restaurant of like hardworking people, and they're for some reason trying to shame them or get them a bunch of bad reviews, then they're super lame. But if they're trying to get a place like that good reviews, or like bring a lot of attention to places that need it, good or bad, it's how you use your powers. If you use them for good or evil, and if you're using them against good or evil.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's like the other thing for a format for writing humor. Like I think I like that anytime you read a terrible review of a place, like the person's kind of unhinged a little.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
So it kind of fits with the King Kong.
yeah, like it just happened. Like you can tell this person like walked in the door after someone spit on their food, or they saw an employee not washing their hands or whatever. They walked in the door and like they didn't even take off their jacket. They're sitting at the computer and they're like banging, and it's misspelled words and stuff like that. So like I think I want to do that. The other thing is, in a bad review, I love when someone is like tries to be kind of diplomatic about it,
Yeah.
and is like, well, okay, like some stuff at the restaurant was nice.
Because it like makes them like it seem like they're being fair. Like
Yeah,
if they okay, to be fair, the toilet's flushed.
yeah. This makes me more reliable. So you can trust all the terrible stuff that I said about it. But like, the waiter was rude, the food came out late and it was terrible, but the ambiance is nice. Like I'll
Yeah,
give it that.
I'll give it that.
And so I was thinking like the diplomatic thing that King Kong could say is that like it was easy for him to get around. And like if you're a larger gentleman like he is, he had no problem just climbing, grabbing right onto the side of the building and climbing right up. Like, excuse me.
Did have an easy time scaling the building.
Yeah. And like, the view is probably
The
pretty,
view, yeah, the view is nice. Yeah.
but like none of that gets him past like the airplanes that are firing bullets at him and his date. And they're like,
A little distracting.
and like, you're lucky I'm writing this and not my date. Like, again, I would have to reference the movie to figure out exactly her whole stake in the thing. She's like knocked unconscious and like dragged away from him, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, or is it like because what's the I mean the line from the movie is that beauty kills the beast, right? It's like it wasn't the bullets, it was beauty that killed the beast.
Yeah.
But it's like she's the only person who's nice to him, so he like grabs her and wants to take her on a romantic date to the top of the Empire State Building. And like,
Yeah, so like maybe he even like he like that comes out in the review where he's like, I don't even know if we're together anymore after this awful experience I had at the top of the Empire State Building.
thought you could come there and just get like just a romantic view, and then you get discriminated against and shot at just because you're like an interspecies relationship of different sizes. What is the is this like something that you plan on just doing for like a humor, like an article, like a piece that you're going to write, like
Yeah, it would.
McSweeney style?
Right. I'd probably I think the last couple of things I've done, I didn't submit anywhere. I just threw it up on Medium. Not because I know I get like 4 cents if I get a couple clicks on Medium. Like Medium does pay, but it's like pennies. Or
I didn't even know that.
I didn't get anything that was like huge on there. But it's just like it's easier, right? To just write something and then just put it out there and then not have to worry about it anymore. It kind of like gets it off your plate.
Yeah, just like put it out on your own kind of format or your own platform, not format.
And I think like with these things, what's deceptive for me about writing humor articles like this rather than writing like stand-up or sketch material is, like when you eat 8 slices of an entire cheese pizza,
Sure,
like
you take
a
you
pizza by yourself.
I'm well aware with the feeling and the experience.
The first slice is awesome and the second slice is awesome, and like I won't even say it gets like there's diminishing returns. Like the first 5 slices are pretty awesome.
And then there's a point where you're just like, I guess I'm gonna finish this.
Yeah, I've found with writing short humor it's the exact opposite.
Oh yeah, it's harder to start
Yeah,
to
it
get.
feels like, and like when you get to the 8th slice and you're like, this is just a mercy killing at this point. Like I don't want to put this whole box in the fridge. Like I might as well just make it all disappear.
Mm,
You feel that way in the beginning. I'm shooting down premises that I'm coming up with before I even write them because they feel awful. Like no premise feels good. And then it's not until I have paragraphs written out and I'm kind of shifting where they are that it's like, oh, this is actually like really fun and good.
yeah.
So it's like it's been really difficult for me to do it because those first 5 slices are so miserable. Like coming from an
Just
idea and,
forcing them down.
yeah, like being able to come up with all these different perspectives on it to make and find punchlines for it all is like just it's mind numbing and I don't like it. I don't enjoy that. But once you have them all there and it's just rearranging them, that's where it's like, oh, this is magic and I could do this every day.
Yeah. Is that how you start? You just like kind of like blue sky, just like write down any idea that could be and then like start eliminating ones that you hate.
Yeah, you know what? I need to live with it in my head for like 3 days, I think.
Yeah.
And that 3 day period, like I said, I came up with this premise weeks ago and I haven't put the time in to just figure it out because it's miserable.
Yeah.
It is miserable like this sometimes. But I think I keep going back to this idea because I do think there's a couple funny things in it. So what I'll do is I'll just write punchlines, like what are the funny things. What I like about this type of writing as opposed to stand up or as opposed to sketch writing is that like you get to write three perspectives on the same topic and you can make them live together. Whereas like you have to make decisions on where you want a joke to go or where you want a sketch to go.
Yeah.
This you
Hmm.
kind of like double back and you can figure out kind of clever and not so clever ways to kind of twist it where you get to live in those three different ideas.
Yeah.
Um, so that's fun. You don't have to kill ideas as much. So just coming up with like as many funny things about the idea as I can, and then just building paragraphs around that.
Nice.
Not that you asked, not that you asked how I do it, but
I did. I specifically did ask how you do it. You forgot already that I asked.
that's where I'm at with this. Is just kind of thinking. I like the idea of immediately starting off like I need to address the airplanes shooting people. I like the idea of like you're
Just
lucky.
immediately. I think that's just like that gets like it addresses the elephant in the room immediately. You don't beat it, especially when it's King Kong writing something about the empire. You don't beat around the bush getting to the fact that airplanes are shooting at you.
Yeah. I mean that punchline drops in the first sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you can get to the nitty gritty of his smaller, more petty beefs with the Empire State Building.
Yeah, like parking's probably a pain in the ass around there. Although it wouldn't make does it make yeah, right. It makes sense for them to include that because that's something that's typical of the form. Although, like, that's maybe a joke to be had there where it's like, yeah, I guess parking looks like it's rough. I've never really had to deal with that. Like,
Yeah, do you think they lost it? He lost his ticket for at the coat check, and then they wouldn't give him his coat back, even though it was the only 400 XL in the coat room.
yeah,
Or they like or they required him to wear a suit jacket, but they didn't have, usually one is provided if you're not wearing one, but they didn't have one in his size.
there's a dress code, but if you just blow right by them,
I don't I don't think there's actually a dress code. It's just like a fancy restaurant thing to do.
if there isn't, there should be.
What is even in the Empire State? Is it just all office build or offices? I don't even know.
Yeah, there's I think
Have
it's
you
like
done research for this?
there's like 40 floors of what's the like laser tag.
Oh yeah.
It's just laser tag, and then like JP Morgan has an office there,
Nice.
and then it's the View.
I would have visited more if I would have known that it was a 40 floor laser tag import.
I have you ever been to the top of the Empire State Building?
No.
No, and
I've
you
been
live.
to the bottom.
Yeah. We tried to go once. It was like a spur of the moment thing. It was a family thing when I was a little kid. Like aunts and uncles were in out of town, and we lived like maybe like half an hour out of New York City. And someone was like, "I've never been up there," and we were like, "Let's get in the van and we're going to the." It was like a Memorial Day weekend or something like that, and we got all the way there, and it was closed. They like had closed early for the day or whatever. So
The Empire State Building closed.
yeah. We couldn't. They wouldn't let us up.
Maybe that's why King Kong had to climb it, because they closed early. It was like a National Lampoon's Vacation situation.
Well, he wasn't going to take a staircase, and he certainly wouldn't fit in an elevator. Yeah, he has no other choice but to climb up.
Yeah, it's really a sizest building for
Yeah.
being like, you think the largest building in the world at one point would be more accommodating to Kongs of size, Kongs of a certain size.
And for how many? But there's a couple big monster movies that right is Godzilla goes to New York in the Godzilla 2000.
Godzilla goes to New York. Godzilla takes Manhattan. It's the Muppets, Joe. Yeah, I think the 2000s one, the one that had the song where Puff Daddy teamed up with Jimmy Page.
Yeah, come with me.
That's right. Yeah, that is a New York retelling of the Godzilla saga.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess there's not too many big monsters. Not a reason that they should have a monster elevator in
Here's
the.
a question: what era of King Kong is writing this Yelp review?
I think it's got to be the first. I think it's got to
So
be the first.
original
30.
1920, yeah,
I think it was at 30.
or
I think,
30s, yeah.
yeah. I did look that up. I looked a little bit up for this, but yeah. So
Because then you could throw in like the old timey element of it all, like an old timey ape.
yeah. What would he be? What would an old timey ape complain about though? Right? Because it's either a complaint or a compliment. It's got to be something that wasn't like up to his expectations. And what would an old timey ape expect from an experience?
Expect from the Empire State Building. That is a philosophical question that I was not ready to answer.
I know. Because it's like I can rattle off old timey people stuff, but like I don't know if it comes from King Kong's voice, and maybe it's got to be.
Okay, what if it's somebody who so King Kong comes to New York, he's looking for the American dream, right? He's an immigrant. It's the 30s, New York City. He crosses Ellis Island. He sees that Statue of Liberty. He believes in America, Godfather style.
Yeah, yeah.
And then just all his hopes and dreams are crushed
Oh,
when you
yeah.
know
Because
he's
then,
he's even a star. They make him a star on Broadway.
yeah, because then it's on all of us, right? Then it's like every American is to blame for the failure of the Empire State Building to live up to King. Because it's like, because what you're saying, you're projecting on it that it's like,
Yeah, the
um,
streets are paved with gold. And when
yeah,
he gets there, they're just streets, baby.
yeah, yeah. Ooh, man, that's like that hits the heart.
It does, and you can do some relevant commentary about the state of, has the American dream ever really been real?
Yeah, I mean, but that's also like that's kind of the stuff that isn't that the stuff that we try to avoid people thinking about when we write this stuff?
I don't know. Depends on your end goals.
So many people really like write a lot of humor about stuff that's happening now, and I don't know. I think that's like the opposite of what humor should be doing.
Sure, we can stay away from it then, since that's not your goal.
No, 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 no. Well, I mean, I don't know. Were you serious with that? Like, do you think there's a path to make that funny?
I mean, the first part, at least, the part of like an immigrant, a King Kong coming through Ellis Island
So
as a hopeful new citizen of America.
so
He
giving
also,
giving him that specific angle of empathy is funny.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and the Empire State Building is, I guess, probably specifically in like the 1930s, like such an achievement and symbol of like American.
Yeah. Right. And well, and that's like I think yeah, maybe that's even I believe that's like some of the commentary that was relevant back then in the movie was that King Kong is considered one of the wonders of the world, and
Mhm.
the Empire State Building is one of the wonders
Or
of
like a new wonder of the
the world.
world. Yeah.
So it's modern and nature coming
Oh.
together, and I see why they keep bringing this story back. It's
But
got so
he
much to it.
but he just wants to live in harmony. He wants to see his he had high hopes for just a harmonious experience with another wonder of the world, a modern wonder. He wanted to pay homage to the next generation of wonders of the world.
Yeah, yeah. He was looking to fall in love there, and also, yeah, looking to fully embrace what a city like New York can offer to a person. What was you did you like New York City? You live there. Did you like?
I yeah, I lived there. I like New York City. I did not like living there though. It's like
Mm.
a weird like I love visiting there. I love like staying there for a little while. Spending a week there. It's great. Having my whole life there, it was not my favorite thing. But like I lived in a couple places. When I lived in Bushwick, it really wasn't my favorite. And then I moved to Astoria, Queens, which was like a neighborhood that was like kind of much more like my speed and style. And I liked it in Astoria like a whole lot more.
Did you try to live at the top of the Empire State Building?
I did, but I couldn't afford the rent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they wouldn't accept just like songs for they wouldn't let me just like do a little song and dance for pay, which is what I was led to believe by the, the Muppets when they took Manhattan.
Yeah, I think that's the one place in the world where you could pay rent with songs, but I don't know anything about living in New York though, so I don't know. Jersey, you can pay rent with songs, but they don't have to be very good songs, which makes it an affordable
They
option for
they
me.
just have to be songs about hard living.
Hard living, if you mention a mill, like yeah, you work at a mill or something, that's good.
Yeah, but if you mention that you work in a mill, they're going to ask you where your money went, and that you have to pay for rent and songs.
Yeah, well, it went to the watering hole down the street. Like that's where all the money goes, where all the money ends up.
Yeah, those mill guys don't pay their mill workers enough. And guess who owns the watering hole? The fucking mill.
Oh yeah, the mill.
They work you to the bone, pay a couple pennies, take it right back at the watering hole that they own.
Oh man, write that down. That's good. I could pay for next 2 months with that.
Yeah. I'll email Bruce Springsteen. Hey, have you ever thought about this? What kind of King Kong do you envision when you envision like what's King Kong's personality?
Yeah, I guess that's part of it, right? Is that like to me he is just like a kind of a stereotypical Yelper, or like, and I keep saying Yelp, it would be TripAdvisor. You're right, because it's a location. Although I guess you can review locations on Yelp.
You can review places at Yelp, yeah.
I think of Yelp more of as food, but this would be like TripAdvisor or something like that. So he's just kind of like a standard like vacationer who is like from not from the town, who's bitching, just like venting, which I think that's maybe, and maybe I already said this before, but like I keep coming back to this idea is taking something that is like so um iconic, right?
Hmm.
That's an iconic image of King Kong at the top of the Empire State Building,
Yeah.
and putting it in something that is whatever the opposite of iconic is, which is like an angry review of something online.
Hmm.
Like that's like so lame. So I feel like those two things together are really what gives this idea heft to me. So
Yeah.
I'm not thinking of him as anything directly related to King Kong. The world that this idea lives in is entirely of 1-star reviews of places.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the best, I don't know, kind of like punch misdirection for humor is like kind of what we already said about like, all right, yes, of course, the planes are shooting at him, but there are other things that he needs to get to, like, about the lines, about the way that he was treated by the doorman, about the I don't know, maybe something stinks inside the bat the bathroom cleanliness, the I don't know, the ease of finding a bathroom. For a building so big, you'd think they have more bathrooms.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, all the other like yeah, and there's got to be something that stinks in that building. That's like the most. If you told me that you went to the Empire State Building and all you remember was some awful smell from something, I would totally buy that. I'd be like, yeah, I bet.
Or like the fact that like is the M no the Statue of Liberty is on the New York license plate.
Yeah.
But New York is the Empire State. That's why I'm getting it crossed, because it says the Empire State on the license plate.
Wait a second. No, wait. Is it? I think it is the Empire State Building. I don't think it's the Statue of Liberty.
I thought it was the Statue of Liberty, according to Ghostbusters 2.
Well, maybe in Ghostbusters 2, maybe back then.
30 years ago.
Yeah, I think now it might be.
I think now there's nothing. I think they changed it. It used to be like a white plate with blue, and then it had Lady Liberty on it. But I think now they just changed it to like a dark blue and yellow. I don't know if there's a picture of anything on it.
Oh, right.
Or maybe it's one of those states where like you can pay to have like a different type of plate, like they have one like, oh, you can pay a little bit extra with your registration to get the Empire State Building. Or
I feel like there was a time when license plates started getting like reflective, in the late 90s or 2000s,
yeah,
where
they started jazzing them up.
yeah, they made them like 3D holographic. There were like things like that, and I think I remember there being Empire State Building on one, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I only remember like the classic ones with the Statue of Liberty on it, and the brand new ones that are just plain and boring.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite license plate?
I haven't studied license plates all that much.
You don't see one like on a road and you're like, oh, like that
Oh,
one.
that's a really good There were ones. I mean, the Pennsylvania ones. When I was growing up, they had like an owl on it. I always thought they were cool. They were like, if you made like a donation to the Pennsylvania Wildlife Fund, you got a license plate with like a pretty cool owl on it.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I think of immediately, because just growing up in Pennsylvania, I probably saw them the most.
Yeah.
There's got to be ones with like something stupid on it. I think like just like what's the live? It's not stupid, but like New Hampshire, it just says like live free or die on it, which is like a pretty like aggressive slogan to just have on your license plate. As you're like barrel down the highway, every single car just is like, I'm living free, baby.
They have like such a crazy font too for New Hampshire. The New Hampshire, like the W, I think, and the H in Hampshire, the W and U and the H in Hampshire are like bigger, like they're like very like floral looking.
Oh yeah.
But I was just thinking the other day, so like I don't think you can count your home state. So I won't count New Jersey plates because I see them so damn much. But I really like the Massachusetts, like that, like red, like it's white background. I think it's red.
It's white with red.
There might be red trim. I don't know. It's red, white, and blue, but it's kind of like a lighter blue than like that navy blue.
And it's like a shadow on the font, right? Like the blue's like or am I imagining this?
No, I think it's a lot more plainer than that.
Mm.
But I think it's a good plate. I saw one the other day. I was like, that might be my favorite state plate.
Favorite license plate. There's an orange one that stands out. Is it Oregon? Is Oregon an orange plate?
Yeah.
I like the color. I like orange and black, I guess, right?
Yeah. Or it's dark blue. I don't know. No, I think you're right. Orange and black.
Possibly. But that one stands out. And I can't really think of any other. Vermont, the green. I like the color, the green color that Vermont uses.
Yeah, kind of like a brighter green.
Yeah, but yeah, that's really Georgia. I think they have peaches on their license plate.
Mm-hmm.
I can get behind that.
Man, they're really nuts about peaches down in Georgia.
We're gonna have to do this. Is another article for you to write, Joe. The 10 coolest license plates in the United States of America.
Yeah, and it'll be like,
or just do all of them, or do a series, break down every single state license plate, what you like and don't like about it.
Yeah, that has to have been done before.
Does King Kong? So King Kong dies, and Fay Ray, is that the character name or the actress's name? I never knew.
The actress.
Okay, she survives. right? And
Yeah.
then Jack Black says 'twas beauty that killed the beast. I'm mixing all eras of King
Wait,
Kong now.
wait. Now I'm gonna Google this because yeah, Fay Ray is the actress. All right. I was a Anne Darrow is her character name. I didn't mean to Google, but I knew there would be people who would listen to this and be very upset by that.
Just
If they weren't,
the
if they
Kong
weren't,
heads who are listening right
yeah.
now. All the people who found this podcast by Googling King Kong podcast.
That's it. Well, that was the other. So I was saying before, like I was trying to. Well, wait. Before I derail what you were trying to say, King Kong dies.
Mm-hmm.
Fay Ray and Darrow does not.
Yeah. How does she survive? Does she do they lower a ladder to her or something?
Yeah, he like gently set her like she faints, right? And then he like
And he sets her down while
yeah,
they're attacking him.
yeah. So he like gets her to safety and then goes to fight.
I mean, so King Kong is really just like a modern day Frankenstein story. They just, whoever invented King Kong just kind of stole the idea of Frankenstein and
Yeah,
turned a reanimated corpse into like a guy, or into not a guy, into a monkey, a
yeah,
huge monkey.
yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean it is in a lot of ways.
You're really you're deep in thought about that.
I, I keep thinking about this stuff and then get distracted because I want it to be interesting too what I'm thinking, but it's what I'm thinking is not very interesting at all. I'm worried it's not interesting enough. Anyway, um, but yeah. Yeah, is he just Frankenstein?
What does King Kong want people who read his Yelp review to get out of it? Is he just venting, or does he want people who are reading it
So
to?
so I think, and I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'll answer your question, but I'm going to
Okay,
answer the
great.
question first. When you read a totally someone who is just really pissed off review of something, what does that person want?
What do they want?
Yeah,
Probably just attention, right?
yeah. Attention. I think attention and power. I think it feels like
Yeah, it feel they're taking back some of the they were made to feel little, or made to feel, yeah.
and like they're now they put themselves in a position where their story will live in a world where the place that they're reviewing won't. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Uh
and so they can steal business.
okay, Joe. So I think this is also a very funny angle, because if it's somebody looking for power, right? There's somebody looking to take the power back. The fact that it's an enormous monkey who just has all the physical strength in the world
Yeah,
being writing a petty Yelp review is like another thing.
yeah.
Like, he could have smashed the building.
Right. He can knock that building down.
He can knock it down like Rampage style. And he could have done whatever he wanted to. And his choice to go back at them is to write a petty, snippy review on Yelp.com,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's funny to me. That's a
which
very
he probably just created an account to review the Empire State Building. He doesn't have any other Yelp reviews, right?
right.
Like, he knows this Yelp review probably won't be at the top of the Yelp reviews because he doesn't have the Yelp clout. But
Yeah,
he's
or he has to like quickly go and review 20 other things so he gets like some kind of like status on the site or whatever.
yeah, your your review is being held until you review at least 5 local restaurants.
Yeah, I think that's part of what's fun about this, right? It's those two very opposite things. Um,
Well, because he kind of tried to physically to physically show strength, right? Like in like breaking out of his chains and climbing the tower.
Yeah, I mean, that I think you have more. I feel more empathy and sympathy for the character through that, rather than being like that's a. Whereas, like, I don't necessarily feel sympathy for someone who has a bad experience and leaves a negative review.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like that feels like that person's more of a prick than like someone who is like just trying to fight to exert their free will and freedom. You know?
Maybe King Kong, maybe he's aware of that. Maybe King Kong is aware of the stigma on writing bad Yelp reviews, and he puts that into his Yelp review while he's, so it's like a self-aware, like, I know what it comes off as. Somebody had a bad experience in a place and now they want to blast it online, but I really need to share this in hopes that other people don't experience the same thing that I did at the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
I was shot at. They flew planes at my head. I was there with a date. They almost made me drop her off the top of the building. They had no regard for the life of this of the person that I was there with. I had to gently sit on the ground while they shot at me.
Yeah, but he knows you're gonna read this and just think I'm annoyed, but it's more than that. I am annoyed, but I desperately want you to believe me and think twice before, go to the Chrysler building, go someplace else, bring your business elsewhere.
Yeah. Go to there are other things to do in New York. Go see a show, not the one they tried to put me in.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. I'm just writing this down.
Yeah. Take notes.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a silly idea, but I think there's something there. There's something enough for me to keep thinking about it that I would talk to someone about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And how do you like I asked a little bit about King Kong's character. What about his voice? When you put yourself into when you get behind that keyboard and you're typing as King Kong, like what is he, how's his mastery of the English language? How is his vocabulary?
Yeah, there's definitely something. There's the great point. I think you could play with that a little bit. I wouldn't want to do it too much because I think it would become too distracting off of the premise. But I think you could definitely throw in some stuff where like he it needs to have the tone of an angry review, but I think it could slip every now and then into something that's like, oh, that's definitely a big monkey talking.
Oh yeah, his instincts start to take over.
Yeah.
Before he calms himself down.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. There's a way to do that is clever, and I'm not thinking of any of the clever ways to do that right
So
now.
like start slipping into angry monkey talk.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, there's definitely, and that's a good thing. Like 3/4 of the way through the piece, I like to do something like that. Like just inject something that is like kind of off premise. You know what I mean? Kind of like outside of the other piece, but just a funny observation that kind of lives in the idea.
Like it makes sense and is not like too off.
Yeah.
Joe, I like it.
Yeah, I think you've convinced me. I'm convinced
that there's stuff there, that there are things that you can. Yeah. You seem to have the like wheels are turning a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of like face and vibe going on right now of
it's hard to talk when I'm thinking so much about thinking through all this stuff.
That is one of the downfalls of this podcast, when when you are like, ooh, when you do get onto something and then you're like trying to remember it. So you don't
Yeah.
trying to like hold on to it or like build on it.
Yeah, I am gonna set my notebook down because it dawns on me that if I ever want to.
You could just listen to the podcast.
Yeah, right. We are recording it right now. Why the hell am I writing it? But I mean, I don't know. Are you like that? My brain works better when I write.
Yeah, me too. I can think more. It like kind of leads me into like the next thing that I want to do, and just like seeing it helps. Like I guess it's like a visual aspect to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like I guess how do you end a review like that? Like I guess it would just be urging people to go somewhere else. We already kind of covered that, but
I think that is, yeah. That's like a good thing. Is there like a big, I don't know, there's other big buildings in New York. There's other like, is there something like completely the opposite? Like,
yeah,
like the river, I don't know, a bridge, the river,
what
the
what's like the lamest attraction in New York? What's the like uh I used to go to this place when I was a little kid called Jekyll and Hyde. Did you ever hear that place?
no.
It was like
In New York?
yeah, it was like a theatrical experience that you would go in, like you walk in, it's a restaurant, but you walk in and they like take you into an elevator and there's like
Oh, okay.
rope or whatever. And then
This is ringing some bells.
yeah, and then the door opens up and you're like in a lab. Like it's all tables, it's a restaurant. Um but like there's actors who are like they do a little show where it's Frankenstein coming to life and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dr. Jekyll is like the chef or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it would be like if he's really urging people to go check out something really lame like that.
Is King Kong like a what happened to New York guy? Like, hey, New York New York used to be dangerous. Now there's M&M stores in Times Square and like a Disney store and like,
Yeah.
he's like, what happened to the original CBGBs where
Yeah, Ebbets Field. Remember Ebbets Field? Oh, so great.
they called them the Dodgers because you had to run out of the way of the trolleys, just run down the street.
Yeah, I think you said it. The M&M store is probably like or the
Something in Times Square, just
yeah,
like Bubba
Applebee's.
Gump Shrimp Company.
Yeah, like go there instead. That's a much better. I had a pleasant time there. Please read my review of Bubba Gump. Uh, the lighter side of New York. There were no airplanes shooting at me at Bubba Gump.
No, they did limit my all-you-can-eat shrimp.
No, they didn't. I
Oh,
bet
they did.
I
They
bet
did it.
they satisfied the appetite of a 400-pound gorilla. He's much bigger than 400 pounds, right? He's
I
got to be
think so.
4,000 pounds.
I don't even know. What does King Kong weigh?
But yeah, yeah, that would be the thing, right? Is that like there's no reason to trash that place because it's already kind of lame. So like, yeah, they totally took care of him there. Like they treated him like royalty.
He's the king.
Yeah.
They treated him like he deserves to be treated. How do you feel, Joe? You feel like you're on a track to writing something new and
Yeah,
fun?
yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm lost in thought, but my brain's going the way it feels like the first five slices now.
In the good way of pizza, not of a.
Right.
I appreciate you letting me in on your idea and trusting me to help you fuck around with it and
Yeah, thanks.
hopefully find some funny things.
Yeah. This is really fun.
Joe, is there anything that you want to tell anybody who's listening to this to check out? Where are they going to find this when it's published?
Oh, I check Medium. Check Medium.
Medium. Follow Joe more on Medium.
But can I just tell people that like, hey, butter on toast, like do it every now and then. I think sometimes we forget how good just toast and butter is, and you should
Just
do.
something simple,
Yeah,
simple and delicious.
yeah.
What kind of butter? How quality butter are you going? You going like Kerrygold, grass
And
fed?
any kind. I actually I'm not a big Kerrygold fan, uh,
Yeah,
but any kind of butter. Just put some butter on some toast. It's good.
that's great advice, Joe.
Thanks.